Hello everyone, this is Thersites the Historian, and what I'd like to do today is just to give you a basic introduction to my channel for those of you who are new, and to give a 2019 channel update to those of you who are returning. So without any further ado, let's get into it and let me lay out who I am, what I do, what my goals are, and how you could potentially help me achieve those goals. So who am I and what do I do? I am a history PhD student. I'm in the late stages of finishing my dissertation, and I might be able to finish this year, but I don't want to hold myself to that deadline because writing a dissertation is an unpredictable process, and as many of you are probably aware, it's also a very stressful process. And because of that stress, I need outlets, and YouTube is a great one for me. My specialty is in classical Greek history, but I also have some degree of expertise in most things Greek and Roman, so I feel very comfortable working in those fields. That's why the majority of my videos are on those topics. It is not a random coincidence. Now, how did I come about making this channel? Well, funny story, I've actually tried to run about 4 other channels in the past, 2 of which I put a lot of effort into and tried to make into my primary YouTube channel. Both of those were focused on politics, and both of those tried to really take off the way that this channel has taken off in terms of getting subscribers, being monetized, all that fancy stuff. But both of those channels really struggled and never got anywhere. And at this point, I've basically abandoned those altogether. When I started this one, it was very much as a tertiary project. I mean, YouTube was always secondary, and then this channel was tertiary. And it was just to put some history side projects there. So I've always done a lot of side reading outside of my own field just to broaden my horizons a bit and just to investigate things I happen to be curious about. And so I intended to just put videos there like the ones on the World War II neutral powers. And those started to do okay, but they weren't really taking off or anything. And then in the fall of 2017, I had to make a course online, and I needed a place to host the videos. I couldn't figure out how to use the university webpage to do it, so I just decided to upload those videos to YouTube. And I decided to leave them public, mostly because I was afraid that if I put them as private, it would be a lot harder for students to access them. Well, lo and behold, those videos started to become popular and my channel started to grow. Well, popular in relative terms. This is the first channel I've ever run with more than 200 subscribers, so, keep that in mind if I say the word popular. Anyway, as that started to grow, I started to make more content for the channel, and over the course of the last year, I went from about 500-ish subscribers at the start of 2018 to about 6,000 right now, approaching 6,100. So I've experienced some growth. My channel's been monetized, things are going well, and I intend to keep forging forward. I also make politics videos. My other channels were supposed to be about politics. Those channels failed, but I still have things to say, so therefore they're going here. I've got an audience here. Why would I post them elsewhere? And I'm pretty selective when I make politics videos. The only reason that I make them is when I feel that there's a gap somewhere. So in the left YouTube world, if someone has not said what I think needs to be said, or if someone has not quite put together a fuller, longer picture of something, then my goal is to fill that gap. So I think that's a sufficient intro to who I am. Now let's talk about what I'm working on now and what direction I plan to take this channel. So despite the fact that my main focus is on finishing my dissertation, I do have some channel goals that I'm pretty dedicated to. First of all is what I would put under the heading of technical stuff. I really want to find a program or programs that enable me to incorporate material from YouTube videos, movies, and video games. I really want to use those mediums as a way to explain history and make various points. And right now I just don't have a program that enables me to do that. Last year I tried to make a video response to someone, and I thought that I had it right, but the audio from their video didn't come through PowerPoint. So clearly PowerPoint is not the ideal program for all formats. Now, for the most part, I'm content using slideshows for most history projects, but there are some things where I need something a little snazzier. And I'm not very technically minded, so this is something that I could really use some help with, not just in terms of acquiring this, but actually figuring out how the hell to use it, because yeah, I'm not very technically savvy. Let's put it that way. I could never assemble my own PC or anything like that. That is not what I do. I'm a historian, not a tech guy. I'd also like to work with other historians on YouTube and beyond. And I know a lot of people in real life I could probably get to appear with me in these videos. And this goes along with the first goal of having programs where, you know, I can talk to people online or talk to people in person, record these conversations, possibly do collaborative videos with other YouTubers, and that it goes along with the need for a technical upgrade. So all that is related. And then on strictly my end, I would also like to begin my series on ancient philosophers. That's something I've been planning for a long time, and it might be later in the year when that actually comes about, but it will happen. I also want to make a Hellenistic Kingdom series, especially focusing on the Seleucids. That seems to be something a lot of people have an interest in, and it's something I have a strong interest in. Obviously, it also would be a great continuation from the successor series. And because you should never stray too far from what brought you to the dance, I'd also like to make more university course lecture videos. And I'm especially thinking I'm going to make ones that I could use in actual online courses that I'll teach in the future that will have work done ahead of time. So it'd be win-win for me and hopefully for you as well. So those are some things that I'm planning on doing this year that will be different from what has come in the past. While my channel will evolve in certain ways, mostly this is going to be a continuation of what I was doing in 2018. I plan on finishing my series on Alexander's successors. I still have a few major episodes to write on Ptolemy, Demetrius, and the gentleman on your screen, Seleucus I, and then I will release a big batch of successor videos. There are some minor successor figures that I also plan on making videos about, but they were not in my original plan, so they will be released later along with other things. I also plan to continue my Romans of Renown series, where I talk about random figures from Roman history. So far, I've done a lot of people from the Punic War period. I will definitely make more of those, but I'm also planning on eventually shifting focus to either the early Republic or the late Republic, depending on how the mood strikes me. My Byzantine Emperor series, this is one of the most popular ones that I've done, and obviously that will continue. Leo the Wise is wise enough to be patient to wait for all the successors, but eventually he demands that he be given his time to shine. I have a History of China series. I only have 3 videos in that so far, so obviously that's something I need to get into. As someone who sometimes teaches world civilization, it is very useful to have a firm grasp of the early history of China, and that's something I'm trying to develop. This series has been very useful so far for me. I also have an ongoing 2020 Democratic Contenders series. Right now, that video series is effectively on hiatus because there are just so many Democrats running for office. I honestly think every registered Democrat over the age of 35 has an exploratory committee up right now. So I'm going to wait for that herd to thin a bit before I make videos, any more videos. For instance, right now, if I were to, make a video on all of them, I'd have to make a video on John Hickenlooper, and that would be a complete waste of time for everyone in the world. The other series I have going on that I plan to continue is George W. Bush Still Sucks, also known as Bush 43 Still Sucks. And the reason I'm making this video series is because a lot of people seem to have forgotten just how bad George W. Bush was. And I think it's important to remind them and to give them specific examples. Yeah, the series is painful, and some people have accused me of having a vendetta against George W. Bush. And you know what? I do have a vendetta against George W. Bush, and I'm going to keep pursuing it. So, Look forward to those coming out in the future as well. So if all of that sounds good to you and you would like to help me make this content, then one thing you can do that would be super helpful is to go to Patreon. The link is in the description of this and every Thersites the Historian video, and donate money to me. Obviously, I've already revealed my hand as a graduate student, so you know that my pockets do not run very deep. So when it comes to making things like upgrades or even book purchases, sometimes I am not well equipped to do so. One thing that helps is having access to university libraries, but even they have some limits. Anyhow, what those donations do is to help me acquire equipment, software, books, etc. And if you do support me on Patreon, then in exchange, what I will do is give you previews of new series before they launch on YouTube. So for instance, when I eventually have an early entry into my Greek philosopher series, you will see it before the masses see it. So that would make you special. I also have an upcoming Patreon exclusive, just looking at all of the weird things that Basil I did. I'm calling it tentatively The Dirty Deeds of Basil I the Macedonian, but I am not wedded to that title. I'm also thinking about making some alternative history scenarios for the successor era, and I'm also thinking those will be Patreon exclusive videos. So if that sounds like something that you might want to see in the future, become a patron. The more people who sign up on Patreon, the more likely that video series is to happen. So you know what to do. Go to Patreon and give me your money. Another thing that you can do for me right now is to go over to Forgotten Battles on YouTube and subscribe. This is a channel which has podcast-style explanations for wars, battles, and campaigns that have been largely overlooked, but yet have had a great impact on the course of history. One example is a series that I wrote on the Anastasian War in 3 parts. That material is only available on Forgotten Battles, so if you want to see what I had to say about the Anastasian War, you need to go over to Forgotten Battles right now. I'm also working on 2 future videos for the channel. One will be on the Battle of Gaza in 312 BCE, the famous battle between Demetrius the Besieger and Ptolemy. And another that I'm working on is the Battle of Mycale from 479 BCE, which arguably marked the start of the Athenian naval empire. So, if you're interested in those topics or some of the other topics that you see before you, like Fornova, then I strongly suggest you go over to Forgotten Battles. Last but not least, I would really just like to thank everyone who has helped me build this channel. And that includes people who only watched one of my videos, thumbed it down, and left a nasty comment, all the way up to the people who are Patreon supporters and have been for a long time, like Alex Martin. So for all of you out there, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that you're willing to put time aside to watch my videos when there are so many other videos to watch and so much other stuff to do in general. And for those of you who have supported me through Patreon, even those of you who, only give $1 or whatever, I'm deeply appreciative of that. Every little bit helps quite a bit. And it also really helps to encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing and to put more time and effort into this channel. So I wish you all a Happy New Year, even though it's a few days late. And I plan to see you around soon with more new content. Until then, I'm Thersites the Historian.